Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky Boys.
That's us. Today we're doing book 19, The Departure.
It sounded like you just said the Yerky Boy, singular.
Well, that's because you're fired. Didn't I tell you?
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm sick of your shit. After last time I decided I don't want you on here anymore.
Well, that's probably for the best. Let me just do this last one just for the old time's sake.
Okay, yeah, just one more.
I'm already here, so...
I'm probably going to quit after this one anyway, so...
Oh, I get it. So either way, there will just be one Yerky Boy.
Yeah. What did you write down what month this one came out, since you said we were going to start doing that?
I did, and by write it down, I mean I have Seropedia open. It was released in June 1998. Oh, good.
June 1998, so that's a month after the last one.
Right.
How fascinating.
Right. Well, some people don't know. They might be skipping around listening to their favorite episodes, and they want that context. They want to be grounded in context.
Yeah, that's the wrong way to listen. But
I don't think we have time to be messing around today.
No, we don't.
We got to be talking about this book.
Yeah, we've been very bad recently.
Yeah, we used to be good, and we've been bad.
Right. Yeah. No. We didn't set up to do a two-parter this time. So
we're talking about The Departure.
Right. Indeed,
starring Cassie.
Yeah, maybe it's a little thematically appropriate that we're both quitting the podcast.
Oh, maybe it is. Wow.
Maybe it is. Yeah. Now, this book, I alluded to this earlier in the podcast when we were talking about the upcoming, this season, whatever you want to call it. This is my favorite non-Chronicles book. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how you're going to respond to it, because I could see you really liking it, or I could see you really not liking it, and I am not sure which one it's going to be. I think this is a controversial pick.
Do you want me to reveal how I feel about it now?
You can, if you would like.
I feel like as we discuss it, it will probably people will figure it out. So it's probably not. Yeah, I don't know if there's that much suspense in withholding that reveal.
I have a lot of suspense right now.
I know. I'm sort of trying to. I'm trying to maintain it as long as possible because I know it's about to come. And I've been I've been thinking about it. I read this book. I've been thinking about it all week, and I've been thinking about this moment. I didn't remember that you said this is your favorite non-Chronicles book.
This is my favorite non-Chronicles book. I will say, actually, as a kid, I did not like this book.
Interesting.
So my opinion has come full circle on it.
All right. Well, as we know, I famously did not enjoy the Skunk book.
Right.
What was that called?
I don't remember the names of the books. The Secret. It was named The Secret, I believe.
Of course, because it's best kept a secret. You don't want to read that one. And here we are, another Cassie book. I mean, there's been I enjoyed The Message, right? There's been other Cassie books I have enjoyed. Well,
probably that one. I don't think you liked the other one either.
I guess there haven't been that many. What's the other one?
The toilet book with the horse.
Oh,
what's it called?
Oh, right.
The Unknown.
Yeah, no, that was not good. It wasn't great. Let's just say that. Right. So, it's not a great batting average for Cassie books.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I tend to have differences in opinion. That's actually not true. We tend to agree.
For the most part, we've agreed on most books. It's just a couple.
Well, in terms of The Departure,
yeah, you've really stretched this out.
I'm doing what I can. I'd like us to not start talking about the book in earnest until minute 40.
Okay.
I will say, for me, of what we've read so far, and for listeners maybe who are jumping in who don't know, I'm reading all of these for the first time, at least to my memory.
Yes, I think that is important.
So up until this point of the series,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that of the mainline Animorphs books, and possibly including the Andalite Chronicles, this is my favorite book.
Wow. Yeah, I had a feeling that might be the case, but I wasn't 100% sure. I was, or maybe not that it would be your favorite, but that at least that you would like it. I was really hoping that this book was going to kind of redeem Cassie for you. Because this book kind of explores a lot of Cassie's bullshit in a way that's like actually interesting and well thought out.
Well,
Yeah.
listeners, you've kind of heard my, last in the dinosaurs Megamorphs episodes, I was starting to turn around on her. So there's been a real arc for me.
And Cassie herself is going through a real arc here as well. This is kind of the capstone to what started in book 16, I think. Where she starts getting more and more cynical and not really knowing, what's right and what's wrong or what she's doing anymore, not being able to come to terms with her part in the violence and all that. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited also to kind of talk about why I didn't like it as a kid. Which I'll just give a minor spoiler right now. It's because the ending doesn't make a lot of sense in a literal sense, and I thought that was bullshit as a kid. And I didn't really think about it any more than that. Also, there's not as much craziness in terms of like, oh, look at the wild aliens and battle scenes. So It didn't hook me when I was 8 or whatever, 10. I don't know when I read this one.
But you loved the skunk book.
No, I mean, as a kid, the skunk book was also fairly like and now I like it better than I did. I still don't love it the way I love this one though.
Well, we're gonna get into it. I was blown away. I was blown away.
Oh, good. I'm glad you were blown away. We're gonna blow the listeners away here. Let's talk about this cover here so that we don't spend too much time. We got to actually talk about the book rather than talk about talking about the book.
Right. I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of more fun just to talk about talking about it.
So Cassie's turning into a butterfly on this cover.
Yeah.
She's here in her like gymnast whatever morph suit. She's kind of got her arms out in a butterfly wing pose.
I was gonna say, is this maybe the first / possibly only cover we've seen where they are actually wearing a morph suit instead of just regular clothes?
It might be.
It's certainly rare.
Cassie's wearing like a wetsuit in the dolphin one.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know that that's her morphing outfit.
Right, and it's just more thematically.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But usually they're just like wearing a jean jacket and shorts or whatever.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that had not even occurred to me.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to kind of provide that additional viewpoint.
Thank you.
Now,
maybe I won't fire you after all.
See? I didn't really like this book. I just don't want to get fired. I have 2 issues with this cover.
Please.
First issue, well, okay, I guess I usually read these covers visually as the human turning into the animal. I don't want to, I don't, I won't talk in specifics, even though everyone I'm sure has read this book who's listening to this. We like to play that game. But
listen, again, there's only one listener who I care about who might not have, so.
Right. So, technically speaking, she does not morph into a butterfly in this book, but maybe that's showing her morphing out of it, I guess. Okay, fine. I'll forgive my own. My other criticism, though, just has to do with the fact that the cover of this book is basically a huge spoiler. And I don't know if like as I was reading, and we talk about this when we get to the end, but maybe I kind of would have presumed this anyway, but it sure was hard not to presume it pretty early because of this cover. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, well, you gotta have, it's a cool cover. You gotta have one where you see the butterfly. That's cool, but it's kind of a bummer for me.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. And the blurb inside kind of spoils that part too if you're reading it.
Yeah, I don't read
Um
the blurb, so.
yeah, no, I mean as a kid, you've read the back of the book, you've read the blurb on the inside cover,
Right.
and in the last book, they always have a preview chapter from the upcoming book, so you've probably read that too. So spoiler, you usually get at least a little bit
Okay,
spoiled for
this
the upcoming
blurb
book.
on the inside cover is insane. Now that I have read it, that's,
Yes.
I mean, that's literally straight up just like the twist that
Yes, it
happens.
is literally just the twist that happens. Um
That's such stupid bullshit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good thematically for the book after you've read it, but yeah, maybe not the best decision before. Um, Now in terms of these quotes, we've got there's always room for a little change. I don't know.
Sure.
Sure.
Whatever.
On the inside it says float like a butterfly.
Right. Dot
These are
dot dot
boring.
dot.
Yeah, yeah, it's always a bunch of dots.
Well,
Four
float like a
dots.
butterfly. The implication is sting like a bee.
Yeah, I
But
don't know that that happens in this book.
yeah, no, that's like the opposite of what Cassie does. So
Right. She just floats like a butterfly.
maybe it's supposed to, be Cassie's struggling. She's like, I want to float like a butterfly, but I don't want to do the other part.
Mm. And see, they should put on the cover of one of these, they should be like, I could use a little fuel myself, and we could all use a little change.
Yeah, they should do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It would be pretty good.
So visually, I think this is a pretty good cover, but contextually, I'm not a fan.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that all makes sense.
Yeah. Oh well. That's okay. That's the one blemish upon this book.
Yeah,
Just
the
rip that
only
cover the
blemish.
fuck off and start reading it. Also,
Yeah,
does your copy
yeah.
of this book have a contest to win your own beach towel?
A contest to win my own beach towel. I don't see anything.
There's a picture of that on Seropedia, and it's a towel that just has the Animorphs logo basically really big. It looks really boring, but somebody's
Oh,
got
that
that
sucks.
towel. A
Yeah, I
thousand
wish there were
winners.
cooler. There's so many cool designs you could put on a beach towel.
Yeah, no,
That
just a.
sucks.
It also says Animorphs coming to Nickelodeon this fall. So
Mm. Yeah, I wouldn't have won it anyway because this was also the last book to come out before I started reading every book as they came out. I don't know if
mm.
what I said made sense right
No,
there,
it
but
made sense to me. So that's all that I
okay,
care
good.
about.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
um, so after this point forward, I could have won contests, but I didn't before this point. All
that's
right,
a shame.
all right.
All right,
Are we ready to actually start this
I'm
book? I know it's
so
not minute
ready.
40.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna put a bunch of dead air, and then
Okay,
it'll be
maybe it's
minute
minute
40.
14. Maybe you misspoke.
I did. Yeah, that was my bad. You misheard me, I
Okay.
think. So
Yeah,
it's
that would
your
make
fault.
sense.
Mhm.
All right. So this book opens on a battle at a sharing meeting. The Animorphs have gone to a meeting at the sharing. They've been doing recon, and it's gone wrong. Some human controller fucked up, and they're going to take her to Visser 3 and execute her. So the Animorphs decide to jump in. They're all fighting. There's Hork-Bajir. Cassie's a wolf. They're winning the fight, and Jake calls them off. He says, "All right, they've had enough. They're running. Let's retreat." But at the last second, Cassie kills her Hork-Bajir that she's fighting. She rips out his throat. And as they're leaving, Cassie says she quits the Animorph. She's never fighting again. She's never doing that again. She's done being an Animorph. Um, we'll get a little bit more into Cassie quitting here. This is the departure. but I want to make sure we don't have anything to say about this battle before we get into the meat of this.
I gotta be honest. It just hit me what the departure was.
Oh, really?
I was like,
this is one of the only obvious ones.
I didn't think of it. I don't think of it. Departure. That's a real $10 word. I just wasn't thinking about departure.
Yeah, they got to teach those kids their vocabulary.
Yeah. Well, let's see about this battle. I do have to say, I still feel like they could get something better than wolves. I don't know. Wolf seems like the weakest of these battle morphs to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm underestimating a wolf.
I don't know. I think it kind of maybe you are, but you're certainly not. It's got to be the weakest. Like a singular wolf is not as strong as any of their other battle morphs.
Yeah, like even Marco could be a gorilla. Why is he a wolf in this scene? It just seems like gorillas always beating a wolf. No?
I'm pretty sure I know why he had to be a wolf in this scene because of a later scene. It's dumb. There's a later bit that, like, one-off line that wouldn't make sense if he was a gorilla in this scene.
Huh.
Well, we can talk about it when we get to it, but it's not... I was thinking about that. I was like, why is he a wolf here?
I guess you could argue that where they are in the woods, like a wolf is better suited for that territory.
I don't think you could.
Well, maybe wolves have better. Maybe it's dark. Maybe wolves see better at night.
Yeah,
there could be reasons. I don't know. Wolves have better throat ripping power.
Sure, that's true. As Cassie proves here. Yeah, I mean, we have an intro. Is that something that's happening? My brain is all over the place. Are we opening more frequently on this sort of thing? Like we have a big action battle sequence like right off the bat? Because this is not your standard opening, right? Where they do some silly thing. This is like in the middle of a mission. This is like your first act things go wrong type of battle.
That's true. Yeah, we certainly are getting more openings where they go, you aren't going to believe the shit that happens in this book. Strap in.
Yeah.
When she's like, oh, at some point, Jake's going to have to take over for me. And I'm like, what?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, she does say that.
Yeah. And she's also like, I used to think Yerks were not so good. Now I love them.
Yeah. Well, she's maybe not that strong about it, but
she kind of
personally, I love Yerks.
Yeah. Well, we're the Yerky boys.
Yeah, of course. This also, we get a little bit of it could still be more, but there is finally a little bit of like actually caring about the Hork-Bajir that we kill.
Sure. Yeah.
Like Cassie is legitimately upset to have killed this Hork-Bajir. It's certainly not the first one they've killed, but
it is interesting. I thought that even though this series has never shied away from violence,
mm-hmm.
and we've discussed many upsetting violent moments, I felt like this opening, which I think is a great opening, does drive that violence home in a way that they don't always really do. It's not mm-hmm. that there's not violence and it's not upsetting, but a lot of times it's I don't know if shock value is too strong a word, but it's just like, yeah, this is fucked up, and then they kind of move on for at least until somebody's having a nightmare or something. This was where you really early on you get a sense that they are reckoning with this violence in this book.
Yeah, and part of that is maybe it's a less is more situation. You know, when they're like missing their arms because their arm got blown off by a laser beam, and you know their spine got severed and their guts are hanging out. Like it's so much that it just barely registers. But when Cassie's just like growling at somebody and she can smell the panic hormones because she's a wolf, and she just bites his throat and he dies. You know, like that can be more powerful in a way.
Yeah, I think so. I think you hit it on the head. I think you bit it right in the throat.
I don't.
Cassie also mentions she has a teacher that was pregnant, and then there was a substitute teacher that took over that was a Yerk.
Yeah. They identify some New Yorks, and one of them, was a sub who took over.
I was just thinking that the teacher that got pregnant almost certainly went to a Yerk hospital and got pregnant too. And then and got yerked. I mean, and then I was thinking, did they yerk the baby, or they just like you get to be an infant for for a few years, or do they wait?
It doesn't seem worth it, but
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe it's a punishment if you're a shitty yerk. They put you in a baby.
I don't know. I get the feeling we might get more into it in this book, but I get the feeling that's actually kind of like if you just took a random York from the pool, put him in a baby, maybe that's a good thing.
That's true. They might love it.
Yeah, they might
Well, it
love it,
depends on what
and
they're
then they
used
aren't
to.
even useful. Like it's all military, right? So
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this before, where I was like, is it weird if there's like Yerks playing house and one Yerk has to be a child and they have to like pretend to be a kid for their mom, but it's actually just it's like their buddy Steve from the Yerk pool. I don't
I
know.
wonder if there's some like Yorks with like age play fetishes. They put those guys in the kids.
Ooh, yeah, there's very troubling territory being approached here now.
Yeah, maybe back off on that one.
Yeah, upsetting.
Now let's move to the radio DJ with the wacky morning show that they also find out is a controller here.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's a
probably a more
shame.
safe topic, right?
Whoa! Welcome to YEERK in the morning. Is that funny?
That's pretty funny. Honk honk.
That's all. I don't know.
Beep.
Most of my my knowledge of wacky radio DJs comes from parodies of wacky radio DJs, so I can't really. It's just like a secondhand parody of a
Yeah.
parody of a parody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. I think. Are we good on this battle?
Yeah, it's a good. It's good, and then yeah, the transition into Cassie's big deal here.
Yeah, Cassie's big deal. So, and this is really like the first half of like the core of this book. Right off the bat, where it's nice to get into this right off the bat and not fuck around for 10 chapters. Um, Cassie comes home right after the battle, and she talks to her parents. We learn two things. One is that Joe Exotic's leopard has escaped and it's roaming around in the woods.
Mhm.
And two is the more important one: Wildlife Rehabilitation Clinic is shutting down because they lost funding. So not only has Cassie quit the Animorphs, but she is losing her barn and her animals too. Um, in the middle of the night, she has a dream about being the Tyrannosaurus, as longtime listeners will remember from last episode, and uh, murdering the Triceratops. She wakes up, she's like having her trauma response, and she thinks she sees eyes watching her. She thinks maybe she's been being watched all night. Um, but then the next day, all the Animorphs show up to the barn. They all try to talk her out of quitting, but Cassie is stuck on it. She is not coming back. And Jake makes her promise, well, if you're not going to be an Animorph, then you can't morph anymore. You can't use the morphing power.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? Animorph no more.
Anna, is that like a reference? Are you doing something?
Yeah, remember Spider-Man no more?
I don't.
Oh, well, you know that famous shot when he throws his mask or his costume in the trash can?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in the comics, that was that issue. I don't know if it was the title of the issue, or probably, but it's like or maybe the whole arc was Spider-Man no more.
I see. Yeah, I'm not a huge
Yeah.
fucking loser nerd, so
Oh,
I don't know about things like that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes I forget that I'm the biggest loser.
Yeah, it's not me.
No.
Yeah, I mean
thinking that though.
a lot of little details happen here that are like important for the plot moving forward, but the real meat of what's happening here is this barn scene, right? That's really unless you want to talk about something else first here.
Well, we don't have to go in order. We could talk about the
Yeah,
barn
sure.
scene specifically.
Yeah. I mean, this bit in the barn, chapter 4 here, this is one of my favorite bits. There is so much good dialogue in this section. There's so much good exploration of what is going on with Cassie, why she's quitting, why she feels miserable. I really, really enjoy this. And it starts getting into like heavy PTSD and trauma territory, I think.
It sure does. Real early in the book. It's just straight
Yeah.
up get ready for the violent trauma.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the barn scene is Cassie's descriptions of everybody, which really, I feel like, get to the heart of, like, she's in a kind of a bad place right now, and she's kind of calling everybody out for their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's really, her and Rachel are best friends, but she's like kind of coming for Rachel in this book.
Yeah, a little bit.
She's like, basically says my greatest fear is I don't want to turn into Rachel.
Yeah,
like,
it's an extremely I really like this scene because Rachel Rachel says, the quote is Cassie says, or tries to say, Rachel, we can still be friends, and Rachel cuts her off and says, no, we can't. See, you've just said the whole world can drop dead so long as you, Cassie, don't have to end up turning into me. And Cassie admits in the text, like, it's true. That's 100% right.
Yeah. And it kind of like, yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah, right?
Not the most stable, healthy person.
Yeah. We see a slightly more vulnerable Rachel this book than we normally, like, in Rachel books we get to see some of her like inner feelings, but usually you don't see any of that in other books. In this one, Cassie says Rachel looks hurt, like on her face she looks hurt at this scene, and there are going to be 2 other moments in this book where Rachel cries. Very rare for Rachel.
Yeah, unless they're tears of rage.
Right.
Yeah, and even there's some good callbacks. I mean, we mentioned the dinosaur dream. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, just like the first Megamorphs, the next book had a Valik reference, if you recall.
Right. Yeah.
So they like to reward you for reading these in order. But also, when Marco says, he's like, in the beginning, I was the one who wanted to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And was like, now I'm into it, and now now I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
I just like the Marco Cassie dynamic.
Yeah, it's interesting because Marco goes really hard on Cassie in this section, and one of the things I appreciate is that Cassie just 100% backs him up the whole time. Like, Marco's like, she's whatever, she blah blah blah, and Rachel's coming in to defend her, and Cassie's like, no, he's right.
Yeah.
like 100%, he's right. I'm scared. I'm not willing to make the sacrifices you guys make. I don't know what I'm doing,
Pretty reasonable considering she is 14.
Yeah.
Pretty reasonable. Maybe as a kid it probably hits different because you're, these are like your peers or even older than you maybe. So I feel like a kid is probably more willing to not cut her slack, or as an adult, you're like, these are children. These are children.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And even the books, I feel like, don't always drive that home as much as they could. You sometimes you forget that they're children. Yeah, this resonates with me because I think I kind of have a Marco and a Cassie warring within myself.
The 2 wolves. That's why Marco morphed wolf.
That is why. Wow, we got to the heart of that one. I think that's why you like me, is because I'm a Marco and a Cassie.
Yeah, favorites. Except I don't really like you very much, but
well, I think you're being a bit of a Rachel, but
not being honest with my feelings.
Yeah, deep down. No, I think we already determined you're Tobias. All right, we don't need to get into this. Now we also we got the bombshell earlier that their wildlife clinic is not being funded anymore.
Yes.
This conversation at the table, I thought Cassie's parents were about to tell her they're getting a divorce. Which also made me reflect on the fact that I think Cassie is the only Animorph who still has a fully functional Yerk-free nuclear family. Like she's got no everyone else is like either divorced or estranged or infested.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. So, Jake's got the all-American family, but he's also got the Yerk.
Right. So it's really like Cassie's got to hold it together for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's on her, right? If her parents divorced, that would be her fault.
Yeah, well,
that's what you're saying?
Yes, as it was ours.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was certainly my fault. My parents divorced.
Yeah. I mean, yes. In your case, it's not even an argument.
Yeah.
There was an incident. You can Google it. You'll find more. So, yeah. So I guess I'm happy that like at least somebody here has somewhat of a good home life. Really, she is really the only one.
Yeah, no, I'm rooting for Cassie's parents. Cassie's parents are great. I love both of them.
Yeah, they're good together. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I think the Animorphs thing. It's good that the funding gets pulled in the sense that we really see Cassie hitting her lowest point and everything just in her life is crumbling. It does feel a little bit less than compared to the Animorphs thing. I don't know that I'm quite as invested in the status of their wildlife barn.
Yeah, I feel that. That really does seem more just to stack it on to Cassie, right? Like, well, now that she's not an Animorph, what does she have left in her life, right? She doesn't really have her friends because they're all Animorphs. She's got her animals, right? Well, no, she doesn't have that either. Like, who is she gonna be now? What is she gonna do? I think it's basically just there to make her feel more aimless at this point.
Yeah, which it does. It's effective. So
it does, yeah.
It feels like maybe this in another book that this could have been more of the focal point, but it does its job here, so it's fine.
Yeah, 100%. So Cassie's trauma response and her and her like stark descriptions of PTSD here. In Cassie's words, Cassie says, "I feel bad because I felt nothing. I felt nothing. At that moment, I felt like I was just doing my job, you know? And now they're shutting down the clinic, and my dad tells me, and I feel nothing. It's been going on for a long time. Each day, each battle, each mission, I just feel less and less. I can't not feel anything when there's violence. I can't not care about living things. I can't be like that." These couple of chapters hammer that home because, you know, it's not even just the violence. We see when the clinic is taken away from Cassie, Cassie responds completely blankly. Like she's saying, like, my parents kept expecting me to have some kind of response or something, and it's just like, I got nothing for this. That's going away too, you know, oh well, I guess that's the way it is. Cassie's in a very dark place here.
Yeah, I could really relate. I was into it. I was feeling it. It's rough. It's rough, but I was feeling it. Yeah, it's a rough start to a book, but I feel like they are, as you kind of said in the beginning, this feels like a much more relatable and more understandable position for Cassie. That the pacifist angle feels much more right to me than, you know, the thing that's still just, I think, is so dumb of,
yeah,
well, I don't want to morph into a dolphin because a dolphin has a brain. Like that feels to me now in retrospect like, well, she should have a moral dilemma, but I haven't figured out what it is yet. Like,
Mhm.
this is just,
Mhm.
this is so much more. It's like, yes, I totally get this. All these feelings, and not why I wouldn't want to rip things throats out either. I would
Yeah.
probably have the same response.
Yeah, I feel that. And when you brought up the fact that it's like she basically just has this moral dilemma so that they morph animals and not humans because it's called Animorphs. It's like, oh yeah, that's actually probably a large part of it. Needs some kind of reason they can't morph people.
Right. So I was much more happy with this direction for her. We'll talk about it more when we get to the end. It's because I don't know going forward. I don't know what these, because this, I mean, she's kind of raised these issues before, but not
Hmm.
really until the last couple of books. And Megamorphs actually is pretty. You could probably skip it, but it definitely feels more important to her specifically than certainly the first Megamorphs was for any character development wise. So
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, it does fit into Cassie's arc, and it's fairly important. And they reference it multiple times in this book, so
Yeah.
they want you to have that bit of the arc. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah. Oh, I should note here that when she's sitting there at the table with her parents, her mom remarks that she has something stuck in her teeth,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's a bit of the Hork-Bajir's flesh.
It is. That is really unpleasant.
It is
That's
extremely unpleasant. It's a metaphor, you see. It's symbolic of how she carries the violence with her.
oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, see? I can read literature and
Wow.
stuff.
You should be like an English teacher.
I should.
Think there's ever been a college course on Animorphs?
I'll do it. I'll make the course.
I mean, there's always. I feel like I always read about someone will do some fucking college course on Buffy the Vampire Slayers, like stupid shit like that. So there should be an Animorphs
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'll go to my local community college. I'll be like, I got a syllabus here put together for Animorphs 101.
Every week you got to listen to our podcast.
That's all there is. Yeah.
If you guys listen, and then you quiz them on like, it's not about Animorphs. The tests are like, what was the name of Will's first cat when he was a kid? Or do they or do they not agree that cheese tastes yellow? Anyway, how about, do you think Kay Applegate's ever given like a college, what do they call those, a graduation speech?
Maybe.
Is there a better word? Is there another word for that? What am I thinking of? When they give this, a famous person comes in to give the speech at the college. Is that just called it? There's like a name for it, isn't there? Something
Is
specific?
there? Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't
What
know
doesn't
what you're on
matter.
right here.
Doesn't matter.
We'll look it up. We'll find out about Kay Applegate and what she said at colleges.
Okay.
It doesn't feel. It feels like she would be giving these speeches at elementary schools. It feels like she would be coming into elementary schools and being like, "All right, kids, let's talk about 9/11 and the ethics of the invasion of Iraq." That's my. You're graduating elementary school now, and it's important you know these things.
Yeah. Look, I Googled it.
Okay.
I didn't find, I don't think she's spoken at a college graduation, but there is a Reddit AMA from 12 years ago. And there's a video of when she accepted the Newbery Award in 2013.
What about the Oldberry Award? Whoever got that one?
It turns out that was I.B. Pear Door.
Good work.
I guess so. Here's the problem: is I started out saying I'm gonna go with the letter before, so I went with I. No, wait, that would be J. Fuck.
Good work.
I fucked up twice. LB Pear Door. That's her arch nemesis. Okay, let's get
I'm
to the
glad
next
I've
part.
got you over there on Google to find this out for us. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so Cassie, she's riding out to do her chores on the horse pastures. Um, so she's out on her horse. She's over by the edge of the woods, on the edge of the farm, and this little red-haired girl, like in Charlie Brown, comes running out of the woods with a bear chasing after her. Cassie grabs this girl. We're gonna find out her name is Karen. Um, but her horse is in a panic because the bear's chasing him. So they run off into the woods, and Cassie gets knocked out by a low hanging branch and falls into the river. She's like swept away. She almost dies, but Karen pulls her out. Cassie has no idea where they are, and Karen's ankle is hurt and she can't walk because she's been injured. The horse has run off, and night is falling fast, so they're out lost in the woods. Um, let's take care of this action sequence, and then we can get to the important thing, because right here there's going to be a reveal almost immediately. But I want to know if there's anything you have to say about this bear attack in Riverfall.
Yes, let's take Karen.
Yeah.
Of this.
Right.
Really, I don't. The only outstanding thing to me was that we get another instance of Cassie calling horses stupid. I think in the exact same way as in earlier books, she says horses have never been the geniuses of the animal world. Like what is Cassie's grudge against horses? She loves them, but she also just thinks they're dumb as rocks. Why? It's so weird.
She's got to work with them all the time, and she's like, this stupid fucking horse.
But she's riding her favorite mare.
Yeah.
You know who my favorite mare is?
The mayor of Townsville?
That's a good guess, but no.
Oh, who is it?
Mine is Mayor of Easttown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I liked mine better.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? So
Palouche.
did you ever read Hatchet by Gary Paulson?
Funny you bring that up. I did read Hatchet. I feel like it was that generally assigned in schools when we were kids. I feel like everybody read it, but
yeah, it must have been, because I did. Cassie asks that in this section in case you don't remember that tiny detail.
Yeah, she brings up Hatchet by Gary Paulson, which I remember loving the Gary Paulson books. There was a sequel that I'm pretty sure I read that I forget, that one was called like Tomahawk or something. I don't know.
I definitely didn't read that.
There was definitely a big maybe we talked about this when we were talking about hawks before, but there was that My Side of the Mountain book.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I read Hatchet for school, but I like owned My Side of the Mountain. I really loved that one. I read it a whole bunch. So I read that a lot more than Hatchet.
Yeah.
But it did have a bird.
Yeah, it does seem like there was a kind of a little mini trend of young adult lost in the wilderness novels.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's one. Have you ever heard of Lord of the Flies?
I have not heard of that one.
It's sort of like the show Yellow Jackets.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you're a Yellow Jackets fan, I'd say check out Lord of the Flies.
Isn't that a sports team? Yellow Jackets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the show it is.
Is it?
It's a high school soccer team.
Okay. While we're on the subject of important things, Cassie says here that she's gotten some slack about exercising the horses. I'm pretty sure she means she's gotten flack about exercising them.
Oh.
I just want to point that out, because I was reading that. She was like, I took the horse because I got some slack about it. And I was like, wait, so her parents are allowing her to exercise the horses? And I legitimately did not understand what she was saying at first. I was like, isn't she always allowed to ride the horse around?
I think I just went right on past that. Yeah, there's also I was though a little confused, kind of in a similar way. So they go through this. They have a fun little Hobbit river ride, and get washed up on shore. And there's a part where Cassie says, "You saved my life, didn't you?" I said to her in a hoarse, raspy voice. But I didn't think she was morphed into a horse at that time, so I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, now you say it's a fun Hobbit river ride. To me, it was more like the when the cat almost drowns in the Incredible Journey.
I only remember Milo and Otis.
Okay.
There was a lot of times where they almost drowned in that movie. Probably did. They just threw in some new ones. That's how you make a good movie, though. That's why movies aren't as good now. Is because they aren't willing to let the animals drown.
Kill the animals.
Yeah, they'd like CG it. Come on, I need to see that animal really die to believe it. Well, I think the cat's name was Sassy in Homeward Bound.
I barely watch. I saw Homeward Bound once or twice, but I owned The Incredible Journey on VHS, so I watched that one a bunch.
Oh, The Incredible Journey is the sequel.
No, The Incredible Journey is the original Homeward Bound, where they didn't talk; they had a narrator over it.
What?
Yeah, it was like there's like a book, and then they made a movie, and it's just like a bunch of footage of the animals doing stuff, and they narrate it, and then they adapted that into Homeward Bound.
Now I'm like, what have I watched? Because I'm pretty sure there are 2 Homeward Bound movies.
Yeah, I think that is right.
And maybe the second one is called The Journey Home or something.
That could be.
But now I'm like, because I know I've seen those where they talk, but now I'm wondering, did I also see one where they didn't? Was that like the same movie studio, or is it a completely different thing from years earlier or something?
I feel like it was from a long, long time before, but to be perfectly honest, I only have my memories from being a child.
Because I see the first movie was subtitled Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. Unless
I'm not going to bother to look this up.
Unless this is maybe this is like a New Hope situation or like Rambo, where they went back, or Indiana Jones, where they went back after the fact and addended Homeward Bound onto it. Oh yes,
I'll let you parse this out, Mr.
Here it
Google,
is.
while we're...
No, I got it. It's
okay.
Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey is a remake of the 1963 film The Incredible. So that's why, because they both are kind of called The Incredible Journey.
Okay.
So okay. Yeah, this is one of those like old school Disney movies. Yeah, no, I definitely never watched that version of it.
Yeah, that was the version that I owned. I didn't have the other ones. I didn't watch it very much.
Wow, you were such a loser.
Blame my parents.
I am actively. I'm writing to them.
It's their fault I'm like this.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Anyway,
so we don't fuck around with this whole Karen thing for too long, which is good. Cassie's immediately, she's like, wait, what was this Karen doing in the woods? And she's like, oh, she's the one who's been watching me all night, like since the other day. Karen reveals that she is a Yerk. And she's been watching Cassie because she thinks that Cassie is an Andalite or possibly a human who can morph. And she's trying to figure out, she's like trying to goad her, like, oh, you should, come attack me, because like when she morphs, Karen will know for sure. But Cassie doesn't do that. She plays it off like she doesn't know what Karen's talking about. I'm just a regular girl. She realizes there's no way that Karen is surviving out here on her own, right? Because, she's in the little girl body, she's injured, there's like wolves and stuff, there's a storm coming, and there might be flash floods. She kind of knows that Karen has to die or something, or else the Animorphs are all fucked. But she decides to stay with her anyway and try to survive the night together instead. She doesn't really know why. So Cassie goes to find a cave for them to hunker down in, but not before she sees a dead deer up in a tree, which means Joe Exotic's leopard is in the area. If you recall, I mentioned that earlier.
I do.
Okay.
That's really Chekhov's leopard.
Chekhov's leopard, yeah.
Yeah. Is it just me, or is this girl kind of a Karen?
Question about Karen. How old do you think Karen is?
That's a great question that I might have asked you. I feel like I don't know. In my head, I was thinking she's like 9 or 10, maybe.
Interesting, because in my head, I always pictured her very young, more like 7 or something. But I was talking with someone about this book, this last week, and he was like, I always thought she was more like 10, more like in the 10ish range rather than like 6, 7, maybe 8. I don't know. I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to gauge because we don't get to hear
Hmm.
much from the real Karen.
Yeah. We know that Cassie thinks of her as a little kid, and Cassie is a kid, but she's also 14. 10's kind of young
Right.
still from that age.
She couldn't be older than 10, I don't think.
No.
I could see 8 or 9, but I don't think I mean, she could be younger than 8. It just didn't get that impression, but I don't know
Mm.
why. It's not like anything in the book really points you in any direction.
Yeah, it's not well. There's a couple points where it just feels like Karen might be like some of the stuff that Aftran thinks because Karen thinks it feels like extremely childish, like a 10-year-old would have grown out of. But they don't, it's not, and it's so hard because like she talks like an adult because she's got a yerk in her. So,
Right. You said Aftran, and listeners don't know what that is yet,
oh, I'm
maybe.
sorry. I shouldn't be saying that because it hasn't been. The yerk's name is Aftran. We'll
Yeah.
find out. I might use Karen and Aftran interchangeably by mistake.
It's a perfectly understandable mistake. Now, right away, Cassie's all, "Oh man, we're lost in the woods. I don't know how we're going to survive." "Oh, so you're not an expert on wilderness survival tactics anymore? Because one book ago, you were carving up dinosaurs and making tents and shit."
That's true.
What's
It,
that?
Now, you could say, well, she can't morph here because she's not allowed to, I guess, but also she doesn't want to reveal herself to Karen, and Karen can't morph. But they didn't, like, last time she wasn't like, let's morph T-Rexes so that we can stay safe. She was like, let's carve up this T-Rex and then spend the night as humans, so I don't know that that holds water.
Yeah, so kind of weird to. I mean, she had 5 people helping her in that, or well, she had 3 people helping her in that book.
Yeah. It's funny, there were points here where I was like, I have better fucking survival skills than you, because there's a point here where she's like, I don't even know which way civilization is, and I'm just sitting here thinking, it's probably downstream. The river's gonna flow out of the mountains.
Well,
The
she's like,
mountains are
I
away
know
from
the
the
stream, but I don't know which way to go to follow the stream.
downstream.
You,
The way the water's going.
Oh, what's that? The way of water?
The way of water. That's right. Yeah.
Has no beginning and no end.
Well, that's true. Because
Thank
at the
you.
beginning there's rain and at the end there's ocean.
And I was I feel like defending Cassie last book, saying, "Oh, it kind of makes sense. She would know about wilderness, just kind of an outdoors girl, but like she should know some basic stuff just based on what I know about Cassie." So
Yeah, I mean she does manage to like find them shelter in this cave, and
yeah,
she is gonna make them a fire later, so
yeah,
it's not like she doesn't.
yeah. It's just played up a little strangely. But the whole thing about Karen. It is nice to have consequences for once for the Animorphs being extremely careless all of the time.
Yes.
It seems like this sort of thing should really be happening every week.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
Cassie just goes home as a wolf, and
yeah,
Karen follows her.
they're
Little girl,
constantly
literally in a
doing
little
this.
girl body.
Right, yes. Yeah, they're always morphing in front of people in public places and like
Hmm.
just getting into trouble, and it usually never really matters. So it's like, okay, there's some weight here. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you saying? You were
No,
saying
I
something.
think
What
I
did
was
you
going to
say?
say something, but I think maybe it's not. It's more for the next part.
Okay, that is reasonable. They do. Karen does say somewhere around here. I feel like it's in this part. She says that there are Yerks who have suspected for
It's
some time that there are
literally
humans.
was the thing I was going to say.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No. We have talked before about how there have been scenes where Yerks have mentioned maybe humans can morph, and it's always like Visser 3 is incompetent and an idiot, and he won't hear it. Um,
It is pretty funny. Yeah, we have confirmation now that Visser 3 is just a dumbass.
yeah, that everyone else has fucking figured this out by now.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid Visser 3. He's not in this book.
He is not in this book. They threaten the controller in the beginning with him, but he's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We find out it was Karen's brother Cassie killed also. That's probably why Karen followed her back. Like this Hork-Bajir who Cassie killed was Aftran the Yerk's brother.
Yeah. Like kind of like a Kalashi.
I think a Kalashi's a little more sexual than that, but
oh. I don't know.
We don't need to.
What?
There's really like two big, like this is the part of the book, right, where they're just going to be talking, right? Like we're going to move from bit to bit, but it's a lot of Karen and Cassie talk, and that's kind of what really makes the book for me. That it might have been a little more boring as a kid, but now I really enjoy it because I really like seeing Cassie and Karen discuss all of their issues. Because there's two big points here that keep coming up in Cassie's thoughts or in their conversation, which is like, what are the ethics of saving Karen here? And what are Karen's thoughts on Andalites? You know, we start getting into, and we're going to keep considering these and more as we go forward. Cassie does not really know why she is saving Karen, right? Like, something's got, because like, what's the end game here, right? If she saves Karen's life, if she saves this Yerk's life, they're all fucked, right? The Yerk will get out and it'll be like, at the very least, it'll be like, I think this Cassie girl is an Andalite. So, what are you doing? Why are you saving her? What is the plan here? There's a bit here where Cassie makes Karen a crutch out of a big stick, and as she's bringing the stick over, she contemplates beating this little girl to death with the stick instead of giving her the crutch. See, there's another metaphor for you, right? This is like, Cassie has the power to save her or kill her, you see. Right.
This is a metaphor for the Hork-Bajir? What's that a metaphor for?
For Cassie, Cassie's the power she wields in this for beating. It's a metaphor for beating a girl to death with a stick.
Okay, right. Yeah, that I see.
Yeah.
There was a point reading this book where I was like, how are we gonna divide this up for a podcast discussion? Because is like scenes 5 through 11 just gonna be they talk to each other? But stuff does happen. Like there are scenes that are pretty clearly distinguished, but
yeah. And you can also kind of distinguish their conversations. Like this is the part of the conversation where we know that Karen is a Yerk, but Cassie is hiding the fact that she's an Animorph, right? So that's another thing that I was kind of looking at. We get to see the start of Karen's thoughts on Andalites here as well. There's like a bit where Cassie lies about she's making a splint for Karen, and she's like, I'm gonna tighten it on 5, and then she tightens it earlier and is like, no, it's for your own good. You would have you would have tensed up on 5. And Karen goes, oh yeah, of course. Well, now I know you're an Andalite, because the fucking Andalites are always running around making war and being like, it's for your own good that we, they're those kind of fuckers. She says like, we have a right to expand, we have a right to advance, but you Andalites don't see it that way, do you? No, the whole galaxy has to belong to the mighty Andalites.
Yeah.
There is this kind of rivalry here, this sense of like, oh yeah, so the Andalites get to be the fucking space cops, but the moment we try to go around and do anything, like, fuck off. We can't have weapons and warships. And
it's pretty good. It's got a point.
It is pretty good. Mm-hmm.
I'm a Yerky boy, but so maybe I'm biased, but
could be. There's definitely you could hint at some like real world politics stuff here as well, I think.
Pretty easily. Yeah. Yeah. The Andalites are like the president, right?
Okay.
Now the Andalites
And
are the elites.
oh, now you're getting into dangerous territory.
The Andalites are they're like the Clintons.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
The Andalites are like adrenochrome.
That's right. That's right. The dome ships are pizza shops.
Yeah, it's all here in the Animorphs books if you look for it. Kay Applegate
Right.
was onto something.
She wrote it in code. This is our first Q drop.
QA Applegate? I was thinking also at this point, is this Yerk stupid? Because it makes sense. It's explained later on, but at this point in the book, I was thinking, why would it reveal itself so early, so willingly?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. This seems like a bad plan, but you find out later that she kind of has the upper hand.
The Yerk has a plan here. She's looking to see what's going on. So all right, as Cassie's checking out this cave, right? Because they're gonna hunker down for the night. And she hears this scream from outside because the leopard has shown up and it's attacked Karen. Now, it turns out Karen has had a handheld Dracon beam weapon, or whatever they call it, this whole time. So she tries to shoot the leopard with it, but she misses. She's got little girl hands. They're designed for Hork-Bajir hands, so she can't really handle it. She misses, she drops it, she hurts herself, and the leopard's going to kill her. So Cassie morphs Wolf to save her. And the leopard backs down for now because it's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I'll be back.
Reminds me of Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold the Jaguar with a leopard. Listen, anyway, like the jig is up, right? Karen knows Cassie can morph now, and she knows she's a human because she went straight into wolf morph. So they're hunkered down for the night. Cassie has built a fire. Karen is now definitely unarmed, because it's like kind of before, it's like, what is she up to revealing herself? Oh, she had a secret Dracon beam, but now she dropped it. It's outside. It's raining. Cassie could easily kill her. It would be safe, but she's still not doing it, and she still doesn't know why. So I do like the part in here where Karen says, I see you've given up pretending. That's good. It gets boring after a while when someone sticks to an obvious lie. That feels like a note from the editor.
Yeah, does kind of feel like that. Although I personally wouldn't give the editors that much credit to make a note that was that helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is. So I feel like we touched on this a little back in the something book when Jake gets infested by a Yerk.
Yeah, The Capture, book 6.
The Capture, of course, book 6. Which maybe could have been a tip-off that I would like this book, because I feel like this kind of is an exploration of that writ large. It feels like it's what I think I said. It's like one of my favorite kind of tropes, if you want to call it that, when the hero and the villain are forced into a situation where they can't just fight each other and they have to talk about stuff. I eat that shit up, but I could read a whole, and it kind of is the whole book.
It kind of is, yeah.
Kind of is, but I mean, I was very happy with just dialogue. This is kind of and also just, they're getting into the weeds, like the philosophies of their peoples and like these pretty heady concepts. This is the My Dinner with Andre of Animorphs books. This is My Dinner with Aftran.
My Dinner with Aftran. Yeah, it's good. And it's interesting because, you're saying they can't kill each other, but again, the running theme here is Cassie absolutely can.
True.
She absolutely can. But she doesn't know why. There's a great exchange where Cassie says, "I could morph the wolf and make short work out of you," and Aftrin says, "But you won't." And Cassie asks, "Why won't I?" And Aftrin says, "I don't know why." And Cassie responds, "Me neither." I like that. It's good.
Yeah, it's really good, and I really I mean, I also love villain to hero
Hmm.
tropes too. That's the best thing. So I'm all over this. I love these conversations. We get I mean, is this when they kind of get into they start talking about, like, they mention Eric, and they start talking about the
Yeah.
chi. That's
Yeah, Cassie does dream of Eric here, murdering people, and like wakes up screaming or whatever.
right. That's a good example too to me of when that happened in that book. I kind of
Hmm.
took some issue with just the way it went down. That it didn't. I don't know. It didn't feel totally believable to me that it would happen the way it did. But but in retrospect, being referenced here for its thematic resonance, I really liked it.
Hmm.
So I don't know, that was kind of cool. That's one of the things I feel you can do with an ongoing series like this, is you can
Yeah.
almost not retcon is too strong a word, but you can sort of retroactively make
Recontextualize, maybe.
make
Or
things
maybe.
pieces fit together better.
Hmm.
Sure, what you said is a better
I
word.
guess.
So I
No.
like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that thematically here. With Cassie, she says that the battle with Eric, she says this wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. We get a similar thing where she's talking to Karen about Elfangor being murdered by Visser 3, and Karen says that wasn't a murder, right? This is a war. He was an enemy combatant. It's not murder. Um, Cassie pushes back, and Karen says, "Oh yeah, so was it murder when you killed my brother then?" Um, it's good. Like that thematically is coming up here, and it's interesting. There's a quote here I want to put a pin in, mostly for myself. Um, where Cassie says, "Don't you compare what your people do with what we do. You can't compare the attacker and the victim." Um, so I just want to pin that
Mm.
quote because Cassie, like for the very, very end of the series, there's going to be a point where Cassie makes this same argument again. And I just want to remember this when we get there.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that concept is it's very simple,
Hmm.
but it's just I don't know, it's hard to overstate how meaningful it is still. It's like it's an obvious, I mean, just the whole in general, just the theme of nonviolence and pacifism is uh, like that's probably never not going to be relevant to real life.
Hmm.
So it hits. It's good, and it's great because it's hard for me, at least. It's hard not to see both sides of it.
Yeah, and this book does a pretty good job of that because like so far in the book you do very much see like that's just true, right? The Yerks are the bad guys. They invaded Earth, right?
Yeah.
So they're enslaving people, right? How could they possibly like how are there shades of gray here?
Yeah.
How is there nuance?
I,
And in
I'm
some sense there's not, but like this book does a good job of having you come around on like the average Yerk. Why is the average Yerk doing this? Maybe Visser 3 is just a fucking nutbag monster, but is every
yeah.
single Yerk evil, or do they have reasons for doing what they do?
Right. Like sort of like the Nazis. What, that's
Hmm.
is that not okay?
Hmm.
What is that? What?
Well, you can say it.
I mean, is Visser 3 not a Hitler, and are these Yerks not Nazis?
That is you certainly could read that. That is not an untrue reading of the book.
Look, I am trolling. I do
No,
want.
I'm aware.
I
I'm
do.
aware.
I want to get angry emails. I want controversy to drum up listens and clicks.
Okay.
But I do think you kind of could have a long discussion about it really isn't that much of a leap. It really is
No.
like this is the evil invading army and the book is saying, hey, what if they're not that evil? I
Yeah.
mean, like arguably Yerks are boy, this is territory I shouldn't walk into, but arguably
Uh-oh.
if
Uh-oh.
Yerks were real, I think
Mhm.
we would agree they would be, well, I don't know. I feel like they are kind of worse than Nazis. I don't know. Maybe people wouldn't agree. It's like they kind of have that in this book. They compare it to the slaughter of animals, but it's like,
Yeah.
is it worse to genocide a people or is it worse to enslave a people?
I've always felt that when you get into that kind of territory, it's not like it's kind of uncouth to compare it. You
Right.
know, like if you were to say what was worse, the Holocaust or the genocide of the Native Americans, it's kind of like
Right.
you can just say they're both terrible. You don't need to try to figure out which one was
Right.
worse.
You're saying
That's
it
never
doesn't
going to end in a
it
good place.
you're saying it doesn't matter if it was 600 or 6 million, whatever the number, it was a terrible thing.
Whatever the number may or may not have been.
we are just on a
You
road to
just
cancellation every week here.
the two of us, I think, just encourage each other to be bad.
Yeah, my
No,
foot's on the pedal, but you're kicking it into high gear. Your
oh,
hands on the gear.
100%. I'm looking at it and be like, oh, don't go too fast now. You're going a little faster.
But I think I've said my people can write in with their comments on the Nazis, but I do actually want to bring it back to, I mean, potentially less controversial for our times, but I
Mhm,
think in 100 years, maybe not,
mhm.
the comparison to the slaughter of animals and meat eaters.
Yeah,
And she's like, you kill animals and eat them every day. You devour their flesh.
yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty graphic. She says, at least the host bodies we take remain alive. We don't kill them, cut them into pieces, and grill them over a charcoal fire in our backyards.
Yeah, and especially at this time in 1998, most people, I mean, sure, I'm sure PETA was around, like veganism and
Mhm.
stuff was probably kind of just starting to take shape, but even more so than today, everybody would just laugh this notion off. Like nobody gave a shit about the idea of, forget about even over farming or anything, but just
Mhm.
like they're animals. Who gives a shit? We eat them. Eat at Burger King. Fuck you.
Mhm.
So like this is a pretty, even reading it now, I feel more like she has a point. It's like what we do
Yeah.
is kind of barbaric.
Yeah, no, she does have a point because like this is kind of the idea, right? Is that Yerks have a right to live, and why don't they have a right to live in a way that's like nice and good and whatever? Like, like the one of the running themes, we haven't gotten that much into it yet here from Karen's point of view, is that it sucks being a Yerk. You're just in this little sluggy body in the sludge, and you don't have this strong body that can move around. You don't get to see things or hear things. We have this gorgeous, wonderful, happy world. And like, can Yerks be alive without it? Yeah, but it's so much better to have a host body to infest. And when I compare that to myself, because legitimately I am just like, listen, could I survive without eating meat? Yeah, but I like it. It tastes good, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
really that's not a compelling argument compared to a Yerk. And so I feel like there's this very strong sense. She keeps bringing up like moralizing superior species like Andalites and humans here. Aftrin kind of has this sense of like, well, of course they say it's wrong, because they hate us and they are racist and they think we're slugs and they think we're gross and they think we're evil. But they do the same shit and it's okay when they do it, so it should be okay for me to do it.
Go off, Queen. Yes.
Yeah, that's Aftran. If Aftran had a Twitter account,
there'd be clap emojis between every one of those words.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, 100% all that stuff, and I this is coming from the guy who was like, Alaran should just blow those fucking Yeerks up, right? So I'm feeling the other side here. We learn a bit more about the Yeerk physiology and culture too. We find out, I don't know if we had heard some of this before, but we find out they reproduce by fusing together and splitting off, and then the parents always die.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, well, when do they decide I'm ready to die now to have some kids? Because
maybe it's like how the praying mantises eat the mate or whatever. They're into it, maybe.
I guess, but it's like, praying mantises aren't as intelligent as Yeerks. And Yeerks a lot of them seem to be power hungry assholes. So I'm having trouble imagining the one who's like, I will make the sacrifice to have some kids now. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know how that works. Yeah. Maybe it's not till they're old. Maybe you get really old and like you're about to die anyway, so you have a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. There are humans who are into getting eaten too. So,
right, as we discussed in the last couple episodes.
Yes, that's true.
We also learn about the Yeerk language. They when they're in their native Yeerk form, they speak in ultrasonic squeaks.
That's kind of cute.
Yeah, I do wonder how that. Like it sounds like they have a fully functional language. Like it's not just noises. They speak in squeaks.
Yeah, they got like a dolphin click talk.
Can I even give you another real thing that we shouldn't discuss, but I'm gonna throw it into the mix because this book is just heavy.
Yeah.
And
give me another real thing that we shouldn't discuss.
You also have, I think it's absolutely worth mentioning because it's something that maybe doesn't even come up explicitly in this book, but I feel like it is. Somebody out there could write a thesis on it. The fact that they're having this argument about slaughter versus slavery, which is a word they explicitly use, and Cassie is an African American girl. It's just another layer that's not really part of the text, but there's a lot going on here is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, that is true. I hadn't really considered that aspect, and that might actually be kind of a failing. Like maybe if you're going to have your black character talk about slavery, it should be part of the text.
And I could see them doing that too, because they've had moments where this is like Vietnam or whatever. Like she could have maybe like slavery in United States history is the one area where the editors were like, no, we don't want to go there.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe they need some bigots to like show up and call Cassie the N-word or something.
That's. If this book were maybe in the 80s or maybe even early 90s, there might have been a very special Animorphs book where that happens. Probably wouldn't have been comfy.
Interesting. Going back off of that topic, although I do think there is something there. If I weren't white, I would potentially discuss like, is the fact that K. Applegate is white, did that affect the way that she wrote this? If she were a black author, would she have like considered Cassie's race more when discussing issues of slavery? Because maybe you should have. I can't speak to that as a white guy.
Yeah, which is why I will take over at this point.
Okay, but going back to what you were saying about Yeerk physiology and how the parents always die. Something I noticed when I was reading this is that right before Karen says Yeerk parents always die, Karen says that her parents are probably missing her. And she says it very like offhandedly, like Cassie's like, my parents are probably missing me right now. And Karen's like, yeah, mine too. she has to be referring to Karen's parents, right? Not
Yeah.
Aftran's Yerk parents.
Right.
I find that interesting. That she just kind of she goes there and she just uses that phrase. She doesn't say Karen's parents will be worried about her too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's some of that Yerk human fusion, which is
Hmm.
delicious. You should try that new place on Main Street. That yeah, they seem to, as we've noted, kind of pick up some little traits from each other, and it's probably she's living in this body every day for who knows how long. I'm sure it's just become easier to just say my parents than
Yeah.
explain, like, not mine, but
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, they are planting the seeds of something here with that though as well because which we'll get into pretty much now. But Karen also she's kind of raging about being assigned a human body. She says that she never wanted this like, this weak, small, innocent thing and body. And
yeah,
Cassie kind of remarks that innocent is a strange word for a Yerk to use to describe its host, right?
yeah, yeah, and they even is this the part where she says like they're too emotional, their heads
Oh
are
yeah,
too filled up with dot dot dot. uh
yeah. Right around this next part, she says she wouldn't want to take over Cassie because young human girls have heads full of she doesn't want to say.
Too
Kay
much
Applegate can say it.
gushy stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brains. But yeah, so they spend the night, whatever. They have all these conversations, which are great. Next morning, they find Karen's Dracon beam has been washed away by the storm. And Karen is super upset because her boss, Subvisor 19, is going to be very mad and, punish her severely for losing it, especially because she's on like an unauthorized mission. Just once again, kind of showing how it really sucks to be a Yerk. Um,
Sure does.
but they start walking in what they hope is probably maybe the right direction. And Cassie gets this hunch based on those little snippets that, she starts wondering maybe I can, like, turn Karen, right? Maybe I can convince her to be good. Or Aftra and the York, maybe I can convince her to be good. So we continue having discussions with Karen, and Cassie's trying to make her feel bad about enslaving Karen. We learn in this part that there's a Yerk resistance movement, and that Aftran seems maybe even sympathetic to the Yerk resistance movement, but like, it's like stop infesting people. You have to give up your body and also fuck the Andalites. Um, yeah, and that's this section. As we go on the next day, it's Cassie trying to talk Aftran into feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
Aftran has a great line in here, which will come up a little bit later, where she says, "What would you do, Cassie, if you were one of us? Would you live your life as a blind, helpless slug?"
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. There's a lot we kind of started getting into it, but you get a lot more of the
Yeah.
juicy stuff of do you feel bad when you hear Karen telling you she loves her mom and she can't tell her? And
Hmm.
which also I feel like, I mean, the concept of a little kid, forget about an adult, a child can hardly even conceive of like what is happening to her at this time.
Hmm.
It is truly very dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Uh,
Yeah.
on that point, one thing that I really love about Aftran's characterization here, because it feels very real, is that it is extremely important to Aftran that people hate her, right? That Karen, who she's infesting, hates her. That the Andalites hate her. That Cassie hates her. Like that's really important to Aftran because if they don't hate, like if they hate her, then that kind of justifies her, right? It's like if they hate me, then fuck them and I can do whatever I want. But if they don't hate me, then like what am I doing? Right?
Yeah.
Um because there's like a bit here where Cassie sort of picks up on the fact that Karen doesn't actually hate Aftran for infesting her, and that it really upsets Aftran. Aftran doesn't want to like deal with that fact.
Yeah, she says, "Hate, hate, hate." It kind of reminded me of Am. Remember Am?
Am?
Yeah,
I don't
Am.
remember Am.
Or I have no mouth and I must scream.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the evil robot.
Right.
I don't know. There's a part, I don't remember if it's in the story, but in the video game, he has a whole monologue about hate and how he hates humans.
Okay.
So it's the word hate that really made that connection for me.
Yeah, so every time someone says hate, you just immediately go to I have
Yeah,
no mouth and I must scream.
generally. But yeah, it's like, no, she doesn't hate you, she pities you. It's yeah, it feels like a turning point. Feels like at this point, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, maybe Cassie can help turn this yerk.
Yeah. And that's that's what kind of elevates this book, is that it's so like, it's crazy what she's doing with a children's book, right? Like because this is like a very like mature like real world concept, this idea that like people will absolutely weaponize other people's hatred, right? This idea of like, those people hate you, right? And so because I can get you to believe that those people hate you, I can weaponize you against them. This is like a huge political force, you know? Like you see this on the right all the time with like those people, they hate America, they hate Christians, they hate the nuclear family. Like it's the Yoda. It's kind of like a Yoda quote, you know. Everyone knows the Yoda quote. I mean,
baby or adult?
Baby.
Right. When he goes, oh, want Baba me do.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, but like that's a very adult concept, I think. I think it's a little bit, and I'm not sure. I wonder how much that hit me as a kid reading it, because like I said, this was a book that kind of lost me as a kid, because a lot of these conversations, it was like, it's cool, but like, where's the wacky animal fights and stuff? Where's the crazy aliens? I feel like some of it went over my head, but I don't know, maybe some of it stuck with me too. Like again, I do think that Animorphs was pretty foundational to my politics.
Yeah. Can I tell you how stupid I am? Because it's I think I'm still like that. This was during when you were talking just now.
Yeah.
The synapses in my brain sure lit up a lot more when you said the word Yoda. Just like a lot of talk about the politics and war, and I'm just it's like Yoda. Whoa, Yoda. Now we're talking. Yoda? I love Yoda. That guy's fun.
Yeah, I remember when he said like fear leads to anger and stuff. Oh, and I also remember when Jar Jar said, "Oh, Yusa saved me."
Oh yeah,
I remember both those things.
So much fun. Fun with Jar Jar. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. I couldn't tell you if I was a kid how I would feel about this book.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say I might have liked it, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, hard to say. These are there's some points in here that I'm gonna bring up as evidence for Karen being like really young, but maybe I don't. Maybe I just don't know what kids are like. There's like a couple parts here. Cassie remarks even on Aftran being like both like too mature but also a little girl, and like going back and forth between the two. Like they see a deer and Aftran's just like, "Oh, it's Bambi." There's a part where Cassie forages for mushrooms and Aftran's like, "I'm not eating mushrooms. They're gross." There's like little things like that.
Yeah, I think I'm more on your side rereading some of these passages. I think 8 is my. I don't think she's as young as 6 or 7, but I feel like at 8 years old, you're probably still picky, but you're like, you know, you can
I'm
walk
not
around.
an expert in child development, so I don't actually
Yeah, I spent a lot of time around little kids, so I can
Yeah.
tell you that's probably what it is.
Okay, that's good.
I'm also
That I've got an
realizing
expert like you.
that a lot of this stuff I was saying earlier about Yerk's reproduction didn't actually show up until around here. I was kind of jumped the gun on that stuff, but
It's fine.
I just wanted to talk about
There's stuff around here.
Sometimes all the chapters just blur together for me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this, like, because in this part, what they've
Yeah.
done is wander around mostly and talk. So
Right. Yeah. Until pretty much now. Right?
right until pretty much now. Can I? I feel like I wanted to say
Yeah.
something else here. I
Okay.
wanted to. Oh, the 2 points. One I wanted to bring up. I felt really bad for Karen when she lost her Dracon beam.
Huh.
Like, there's something about the way that scene is written that really resonates with me, where she's just kind of like staring at the ground, like maybe it'll come back. I don't think she says that, but she's just kind of like staring at. She's just like, what do I even do? Maybe Cassie, I don't suppose you'd help me. No, I can't go back without it.
It did make me think of. Did you ever watch the movie Magnolia?
I have not seen that one
What are you
yet.
doing, man? It's my favorite movie.
I know it's your favorite movie.
Well, John C. Reilly plays a cop and he loses his gun early on, and he basically is just like berating himself. He's like, "Oh, I'm such a piece of shit. I lost my gun. I'm a cop. I'm not supposed to lose my gun." So I kind of felt that.
That's Aftran.
Yeah,
That
John
C. Reilly for Aftran.
Yep, yep. I think he'd knock it out of the park. He's a chameleon. That man could do it.
Mm.
And your other point?
I think the only thing I really wanted to say here is there's a really good quote. There's a lot of quotes. There's a lot of dialogue in this book.
There's a lot.
It's just really good. And maybe I'll just read this entire book into the record here. No, I like the part. There's a bit here where she actually picks up a caterpillar here, and she says, "Do you see this? This is what I am without a host body. Helpless, weak, blind. Do you see those flowers? Do you see the sunlight? Do you see the birds flying? You hate me for wanting that? You hate me because I won't spend my life blind? You hate me because... you hate me because I won't spend my life swimming endlessly in a sea of sludge while humans like you live in a world of indescribable beauty? You live in paradise, and you hate me for wanting to live there too." I like it. It's good.
It's great. I highlighted all that stuff in my book, and it's just another layer. It's a whole discussion of the fact that we as humans take for granted everything we have just to be alive.
Yeah,
which is that's a hard argument to make. It's an easier argument to make in the 90s when, at least for white people, things were better. Versus now when everyone agrees everything is shit and we're all miserable and sad all the time. But it is, in the right context, it is a powerful notion that you can see colors, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Look at what red and blue are.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I have heard people make the argument that this point of view is kind of ableist. Because Aftran focuses so heavily in on like the sense of sight being this like powerful, important, all-consuming thing. So I have heard people make the argument that this is a little bit I don't know, maybe insensitive to blind people or something. I'm not sure I buy that, but
I can kind of see it. But you can't say that sight isn't inarguably a core part of the human experience and culture. Like,
yeah, but like for the Yerk experience, is it so much that you're enslaving people for it when you didn't start with it?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm on your side. Listen, if I had seen, if it had been blind people coming to me and saying I'm offended by this part, then I would have been like, that's reasonable, I guess. But that's not really what I've seen when it comes to discourse about this.
Yeah, well, if you're blind listening to this, you can email us and let us know your thoughts. If you are deaf listening to this, you're not listening to this, so we can say whatever we want about you.
No, I will just say I'm on the point of, I mean, for me, listen, I have bad eyes. Listeners might not know this, but my eyes are not good.
Yeah.
And I do have to reckon with the idea that they could get worse and sort of stay on top of that and make sure that, like the idea that I could lose my sight because of my weird eye condition at some point in the future, that's a real idea. It's not some like hypothetical, oh, but what if you were blind? And I gotta say, if I imagine that I don't stay on top of that, if I imagine that I let myself go blind, that feels like a real loss to me. That doesn't feel like, oh, well, that's not that important. No, that's a loss. That's a huge loss. So I do see, like, for me personally, I don't think that I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I also wear glasses, so I too pretty much feel like I'm right in the shoes of blind people. It can say it's fine.
Yeah.
We both wear glasses. Yeah.
I don't wear glasses. My eyes are too shitty for glasses. I have a weirder eye condition than that.
Well, I still picture you in my head with glasses.
Okay. That's true. Maybe someday I'll get them again.
I wish you would. Just even, lensless ones would be fine.
Some fake ones, put them back on.
Yeah, and there's also, again, not to step in it too much again, but just to bring it back up a little bit. This was the part where I think it hit me more about the fact that Cassie is black. She uses the phrase slave masters, which I feel like has not been used before in this series. They might have said slave once or twice, but slave master to me feels like a very specific connotation for our society.
Yes, so I think you're right.
To me, that felt like the most, I don't know. I feel like Kay Applegate had to at least have thought about that when she was writing that part. But
yeah. I mean, this is the great thing about Animorphs is that, like, even though it's silly a lot of the times, it gets heavy enough and touches on real world subjects enough that that we have the opportunity to say things that might end up being problematic. Like, at some point, we're going to have to express real opinions on real world politics, and people might disagree, and that could be a problem.
Yeah.
No avoiding it.
Nope. No avoiding it. It's fine.
It's fine. Everything is going to be okay. All right. But so they've had these conversations. The leopard attacks. Remember that leopard that's been wandering around? It comes in, it attacks, and it bites Karen's leg, and it's like dragging her off screaming, right? It's pretty intense. But fortunately, Marco shows up. Marco is here to save the day. So there's like a little bit of a fight with the leopard. Although, once again, Cassie kind of considers just letting it kill Karen and be done with it, even though this whole thing's been happening. But, Gorilla Marco, Wolf Cassie, they get the leopard to back down, and it leaves. Marco is suspicious about what's going on. So he goes and leaves to demorph. And while he's gone, Cassie tries to warn Aftran that, hey, Marco is not going to be cool about this. But Marco tricked them. He morphed Bird instead, and he overheard the whole conversation. So he knows what's up. He's fucking pissed at Cassie. He's like, the Yerk has to die, Cassie. They're like, this. Cassie is freaking out. She doesn't know what to do, but she's like, I can't let this Yerk die. I don't know. And so not even really thinking or being aware of what she's doing, she's like, what if we give Karen a chance to weigh in? Karen should have a chance to weigh in. And she demorphs and shoves Karen's ear up to hers so that Aftran can infest her instead. And Marco flies off to go get the other Animorphs, and he leaves saying, you're a fool, Cassie. Now it's not the little girl who may have to die, it's you.
Shit.
God so let's talk about Marco, our favorite character, showing up to save the day here.
He's here.
Marco's here.
Yeah, it's Marco time. He has some fun stuff to say, joking around like always.
Yeah, good old jokey Marco.
Classic Marco pranks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this book really is like it's really making me question where my loyalties lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'd still with Marco. I'd kill and die for those beautiful eyelashes. But yeah, it's funny that in any other scenario, if this was a Marco book, you'd be on Marco's side right now.
Mm.
But you've been seeing this other perspective for so long that you're not sure if you're feeling it. And I mean, Cassie makes the best counter argument when it's like, yeah, of course. She's like, well, what about your fucking mom, dude?
Yeah.
And what about Jake's brother? Like, we don't kill them, so what's up with that?
Yeah. It's interesting because that does touch back on Marco here. Because I don't think that Marco is convinced that he's not going to kill his mom at this point. Like last book, he saved his mom, but then he did let her die. But then she didn't die, probably. Well,
he was like, he gave her a fighting chance, at least.
Yeah. But he also that wasn't about to save her when he flooded the area.
I kind of chalk that up more to sloppy writing, to be honest with you. I feel
that's fair. That's fair.
I at least from my memory of it, I think he wanted to save her, but then it was just, she took for granted, like, oh yeah, probably everyone in that place will die, but she doesn't, because she doesn't.
Yeah. I guess that's fair. I mean, in my eyes, like in my mind at this point, Marco is at a crossroad. Like he wants to save his mom, but he doesn't know. I don't know. That was what he was struggling with last book.
Yeah.
At any rate,
his last Marco book.
His last Marco book. I keep saying last book, but I mean 4 books ago. 5 with the Megamorphs.
6 of podcast episodes.
Right. So a long time.
Eons ago.
Eons. This is another point where Karen seems very young because she doesn't know gorillas are dangerous.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
After it's just like, all I know about gorillas is what my host body knows. She thinks he looks like Curious George.
Yeah, that's like making me think maybe I drop a year off her age there.
Right.
That is pretty goofy.
I mean, this is the part where I was like, oh, that's why Marco was a wolf at the beginning, because if he fought as a gorilla at the beginning, Karen couldn't have said that line because she would have already seen him.
Wow.
I don't know that was intentionally done that way, but
yeah, that's that never would have occurred to me, but maybe.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been a plot hole.
Right. Ceropedia would have been fucking pissed.
Yeah.
This is a goof.
Goofs.
Yeah, Cassie's wild for this one.
Yeah, she sure is. Marco's pretty hardcore in this section. He's got some good lines. He says, there's no peace with parasites. You don't turn them around, you bury them.
Damn.
There's a bit where he's like, he says to Aftran, he's like, either you leave Karen or I kill you both. And Aftran's like, all right, well then you'll have to kill us both. Like, you can kill me, but I'm not going to make it easy for you. Marco's like, okay, I'll do it. And Cassie's sitting there like, I know he's like bluffing strength, but also he will do it.
Yeah. Yeah. But they would tie her up, like, and do the starvation thing. They're not going to actually kill a little girl, right? That doesn't feel like a thing the Animorphs do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like Marco would kill this little girl if he had to, but I also feel like, yeah, she is this, like, kid. Her ankle, that she can't even walk. She hurt her ankle too bad. I don't see why they can't tie her up.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know, but that's fine. Also, on the subject of ableism again, there is this part here where
yes,
Cassie says she's already crippled. What do you think you've done to her? She's already lost both her legs and her arms and eyes and voice as well, which is I think it's a really powerful passage. But I mean, that's pretty. Regardless of whether or not crippled is That's not PC, right? You
I
can't say
don't think it is. No,
you're not supposed to say that
I don't
anymore.
think you're supposed to have said that. You're gonna have to come back and censor that.
Yeah, well, Family Guy, but it's I don't know. So it's problematic, but it is powerful to me. It's like, hey, you already like again just driving home.
Yeah.
You're fucking this kid up. There's
Yeah.
trade-offs here. There's a lot of good back and forth about who's in the right and who's in the wrong on this one.
Yeah. I mean that's the book. Great dialogue, great back and forth.
And also, I mean, this part I just found particularly unsettling when Karen says, Cassie says, "We're not cows," and she's like, "You can't compare what you do to humans, what we do to cows." Sure, I can. You're our meat. That sounds like some shit that from a horror movie you would like. You just hear with ringing with hideous laughter in the air. You're our meat.
Yeah, imagine it's a tiny little kid who says that. I liked earlier where she says, "That's all you are to us." Oink oink. That's pretty good too.
The slaughter of animals in general portrayed in a certain light can already be fucking horrifying when you really get into it, and that's just there's something about I have the same thing with plant stuff. I don't know. This is a very specific phobia of mine.
I do not know where this is going.
There are, and I can only think of one example, which is an obscure point and click adventure game called or maybe it's just called Sanitarium, I think. Again, probably very sensitive towards the mentally ill, but there's like a part where there's like a plant people that like eat humans, and kind of like in Troll 2, how they like turn people into plants. There's something
Troll 2 gave you nightmares.
I don't know why. There's something about like people being meat for other animals, or like being specifically the plant thing of like a Venus flytrap, like eating a person. I don't know that
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, although I love that Little Shop of Horrors, but yeah, I guess kind of the same thing. I don't know. Maybe I need to talk to a therapist about this. I don't know what the root of it is, but there's something about plant meat people shit that kind of fucks me up and makes me feel ill. I don't know.
Interesting. So you're not like a vor cannibalism fanatic, to get back on that topic.
No, it's not for me.
It's not your favorite.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, okay.
No,
you're not a Arnie Hammer.
No. Yeah, Marco should have just tied this. I don't know why he even went to get the Animorphs. Like, just pick this girl up as a gorilla. She won't get anywhere.
Well, he was a bird, right? He's a bird. Cassie says she controlled her morph so that like her human head appeared, but she's still mostly wolf. So Marco doesn't like he can't fight her because he has to go bird to human to gorilla.
Okay, sure.
I don't know.
Call her bluff. You think Cassie's gonna really fuck you up? Like,
Aftran will fuck you up.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Well, but I think before Aftran gets into Cassie's head, she's just a shitty little kid. Marco has an opportunity there. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe Marco's just too nice.
He just wants backup. He's not the leader. He's like, I can't do anything. I need Jake to tell me what to do.
Yeah, he needs those. What is it? Those like, I don't even remember what he said. That serious chin or whatever he says.
I don't really remember that, but
he always has descriptions of Jake like them. He's done it a couple times, but
yeah.
All right, so Aftran, she takes control of Cassie. We get to see Cassie's memories through Aftran's eyes, and a little bit of Aftran through Cassie's eyes. Aftran sees, Cassie feeling guilty over killing her brother. She sees the whole plot of the book from Cassie's perspective. She morphs Osprey and takes off, but she doesn't go anywhere. She's flying in circles around the city. She's not sure what to do. And they see a controller search party in the woods. And they also see the other Animorphs coming. So there's controllers coming in, there's Animorphs coming in. They're converging on where Karen is. Uh, Cassie makes like a final appeal to Aftran to make peace, and Aftran turns around and heads back toward Karen. So let's see what we have to say about Aftran being in Cassie's head here.
Well, this is when we actually learn her, or did she say her name earlier?
I don't think we do. I think this is where we learn Aftran's name.
Yeah, I think
up to this point it's Karen.
Yeah, Aftran 942 of the Het Simplat pool.
Yeah. That's Aftran.
Update your wikis, folks. Now you know.
Update them.
Yeah, there's at this point I wasn't taking as many notes because I was just caught up in the book. I was like, oh shit, this shit's getting real. Shit's happening. And we get another of the now Cassie is number 2 of the Animorphs to experience the Yeerk infestation. And she gets to have a similar kind of thing that Jake did of getting some of Aftran's memories as well. And much even more direct, sympathetic position for Yeerk POV.
Yeah, it's interesting because we find out a couple things about Aftran. We find out that she took the Karen job on purpose, because she wanted to avoid the battles, because she used to be in a Hork-Bajir and she was tired of like fighting and killing, similar to Cassie. And so she like this Karen job. We find out Karen's father is like a billionaire who owns Unibank or something. So, she's supposed to be spying on him and trying to figure out how to infest him.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting little tidbit there. But it is a lot more sympathetic to Aftran that she also does not want to fight. We also get to see a little bit of her enjoying flying as a bird. She clearly loves being a bird. She clearly loves the bird eye. She mentions specifically being alone up in the sky. She's obviously very sick of being part of the Yeerk Empire.
Yeah. She says earlier that there are Yeerks who oppose the war. And I guess she's not quite at that level, but she's maybe just sort of neutral towards it.
Yeah, it feels like at this point she's still more on the like, what can you do though? That's the way things are.
Yeah.
We find out that her brother's name was Estrel 731 of the Het Simplat pool.
Right.
So update your wikis on that one.
Rip.
Well, you get a Zone 91 shout out. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, I did like that.
It's pretty good.
That was funny. That again, just hammering home how stupid Visser 3 is, that he's obsessed with Zone 91 still.
Yeah.
Oh, and we also
kind of like a Elon Musk type.
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing Musk would be obsessed with.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's definitely a Yeerk in Musk's head.
Yeah.
And we also get another good callback to arguably maybe the real start of Cassie's arc, which is the termite thing.
Yeah.
And it's like that's
my favorite book.
Which wait, that's
book 9, The Skunk.
Oh, that happens in that book, huh?
Yes, that happens in that book.
Oh, I think I had
that's the part where you said you wrote as many notes about one chapter as you did about the rest of the book.
Right, okay. That's what I just separated it in my head completely because I'm like, that part was good. That couldn't have been from that book. Yeah. Well, at any rate, I liked the callbacks to it. Yeah, I mean, all this stuff is good and interesting, and you get the swirling montage of their brains together.
Yeah, and Cassie's last appeal here is, I think there are so many good lines in this book. This book is great for dialogue, but her appeal to Aftran here, or Aftran says, "You think we can make peace between human and Yeerk and Andalite? Don't be stupid." And Cassie says, "No, I don't think we can make peace between all humans and all Yeerks and all Andalites, but you and I can have peace. One Yeerk, one human. I love it. It's great.
It's beautiful.
This is Cassie.
It's like
this is what
the it's like the person throwing back the starfish on the beach. You know. You know that? You know that one?
What is this? This is very familiar to me.
Yeah, there's like some stupid moral story. It's like this kid's throwing all these starfish like washed up from the shore, and they're like dying on the beach, and just like throwing them back in the ocean. And someone's like, "What's the point? Like, there's hundreds of them. You can't save them all. It won't make a difference." And she's like, "It'll make a difference to the ones I save."
Okay, yeah.
It's very powerful.
No, I've heard this, yeah. That is powerful. Not as powerful as Animorphs.
No.
Well, just wait until the Animorphs morph starfish. Then we'll see some real power.
Okay.
But anyway,
it's a great line.
Yeah, so Aftren, it's a great line. Aftren's heading back. They're heading back. And as Aftren is flying back toward Karen, she warns the patrolling controllers in thought speech that Andalite bandits are coming. She doesn't say Animorphs, but she does warn them that they're coming. So they get back to Karen, and Aftren reinfests Karen. And she says she has delayed all of the others from finding them. She's hoping they'll fight and be delayed. And she's done this because she has a demand of Cassie here. Aftren says she will leave Karen and never take another human host. She's willing to do this, but only on the condition that Cassie pay the same price. So she says, Cassie, if you will morph this caterpillar and trap yourself in this caterpillar morph for 2 hours, then I will never take another human host. So Cassie acquires the caterpillar and morphs it.
Yeah.
So this is it. We're getting closer to the cover of the book here.
Yeah, well, it's at this point that I'm going, well, she didn't turn into a caterpillar on the cover of the book.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, that should have been the cover, okay? It should have been a caterpillar. It would have been way better, but...
I feel you.
But who am I? I'm sure market research said butterflies will sell to little girls. We got to put a butterfly on the cover.
Yeah, this is definitely the book for the, like, if you wanted, like, a pretty butterfly princess story, go read this book.
That's right. All the little kids with their Lisa Frank binders, they are loving this hard-hitting discussion of morality.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we kind of glossed over it, too. I just want to make sure to say, I think we got the real Karen's only line in the book when she says, "I want to go home."
Oh yeah, she gets one other line later on, but yes, I think that is the real Karen's only line so far, is "I want to go home."
So do with that what you will.
Poor Karen.
Do you think Cassie ever says to Jake, "Would you still love me if I was a worm"?
Well, now she knows. She doesn't have to ask.
Yeah, God, I think this is every girl's dream.
Yeah, that's true.
To be able to turn into a worm so you can ask your boyfriend if they still love you.
John, would you still podcast with me if I was a worm?
Oh, yeah, it'd be better.
We wouldn't have to hear my voice anymore.
Yeah, just be me, baby.
Yeah. Now, one of the things in this chapter, Aftren really does not believe that Cassie's going to do this. Right. Like, there's a part where, or when she's still in Cassie's head, she asks Cassie if she would do, like, she said, like, if you were me, what would you do? And Cassie doesn't answer her, but Cassie, like, Aftren can read her thoughts. So she's like, Cassie thinks she would do it. And Aftren says, like, maybe you're more like me than you think. Like, I think she's really expecting, like, Cassie thinks very highly of herself. She thinks she's this morally superior person, but when push comes to shove, when it actually comes down to it, she's not going to do it. She wouldn't actually do it. I think that I really love this scene, and I love all the things that they say. I love that Aftren in this scene is crying. She's torn up about it. She doesn't like making Cassie do this either. Like she feels horrible about everything here.
Yeah.
It's good.
She's like, smoke the whole pack now, Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what she says.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really know what you summed it up well. It's powerful. Cassie proves once and for all that she is in fact morally superior to everyone.
Yeah, that's what happens in this book. Cassie proves that she was right and you were wrong to doubt her. You should always listen to her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that, nobody would make this choice. Right? It's like very few people, maybe not. It is an extremely hard thing. Although I feel like maybe I could see myself turning into the caterpillar, and then once you're in there, it's kind of like you're just waiting for 2 hours to go by. You're not actively making a choice at that point. You can kind of just be like, I'm a caterpillar now. Maybe it's a little bit easier to retreat into the caterpillar brain and just succumb to that inevitable transformation.
You just got to 1, 2, 3 go it, right? Once you jump in, it's like, all right, well, it started now. It's too late.
Yeah. She doesn't have much trouble taking over Caterpillar's brain, though. She just gets a little hungry or something. Or no, she wants to do what she's going to do is what she wants.
Yeah, she wants to weave a cocoon.
She's not very hungry.
A chrysalis. Yeah, no, she's not very hungry, no. Yeah. It's a lot easier to tell someone else what they must do than to do it yourself, Cassie?
Yeah.
But she does. It's not Cassie. Cassie, it's perfectly easy to do it herself because she's just better than you.
That's right.
No, So Cassie at this point is out of the book. She's in a chrysalis. See ya, Cassie. Now Jake gets to take over. We get Jake's perspective here. They've been out searching for Cassie all night. Marco has just returned and informed him that Cassie is a controller. And as they gather up and move toward her location, like the search party guys start shooting at them. Rachel gets shot down. They get into a bird fight. They have all the standard, bird fight maneuvers from Animorphs. Aftran, but Aftran's plan works. It wastes a bunch of time. So before we have them arrive at Aftran, do you have anything to say about this? Is like the only, other than I guess the opening scene, this is the only fight scene in the book. Little bit of standard Animorphs craziness here, but not
the leopard
ton.
scenes are kind of like fight scenes.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, the switch to Jake is wild. It's I don't, other than Megamorph, I feel like there is one other one where you switch perspectives. Maybe I don't know if that's true or not.
There is, but I don't remember which one right now.
Yeah, but it's like, whoa, it's Jake now.
It's Jake now. Cassie's fucking out. She's gone.
I think it'd be funnier if it switched to Marco.
That would be pretty good. But Jake's got some good lines that Marco would not make. I like when he says, maybe we'll lose, maybe we'll win. But if we win someday and it's all over, you better hope there are still plenty of Cassies in the world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Great line.
Fantastic.
Great line. Jake also has a bit where he effectively orders Marco to kill Cassie.
Wait, what does that happen?
There's a bit where Jake is all like, he's like, that Yerk does not get away. I don't care who it's in. And Marco's, whether it's in Karen or Cassie. And Marco's like, so Jake, what are you saying? And Jake is saying, I'm saying, Marco, that Yerk is not getting away no matter what. And Marco's like, fuck.
Yeah. Jake's hardcore.
Yeah, Jake's hardcore. This is probably the hardest call Jake has had to make so far.
You can see, I mean, he's become the leader now. He's ready to make these decisions. It's like, I'm not going to fuck around.
Yeah. Not fucking around. Yeah, Jake definitely, this is around the part in the series where Jake really kind of comes into it as a leader, I think.
Yeah.
Things start getting rough. Yeah, they all show up, but it's too late, right? Cassie's trapped. We find out Aftran tried to tell her to morph back because she'd seen enough, but, Cassie couldn't understand her as a caterpillar, so now she's trapped. There's yet another scuffle with the leopard, but it's not really important. um, Aftran explains to them the deal she made with Cassie, and Jake is like, well, I can't really let her live, but I also can't give the order that like undoes Cassie's sacrifice, right? I can't bring myself to do that. So instead he tells all the Animorphs everybody's got to make their own decision about what to do here. And one by one they all decide to leave without killing Aftran. They all decide to let Aftran live. Another great scene.
Yeah.
Book full of great scenes.
I like when Tobias sympathizes too and says, I can't get mad at someone not wanting to take a life.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake's like, that's pretty surprising since all he does is fucking eat rats all day.
Yeah, I feel like they brought this up a lot. Like most of these books have had some point where they make this point with Tobias.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, it's all you know, it's just again really getting to the heart of the themes of this book. And especially now you get to hear kind of everybody else's perspective, because up until now it's just been really Cassie.
Yeah.
But it's like it's enough. It's good. You get enough, but you don't. It's like Cassie was mostly fine. We don't need everybody's to have their own book's worth of opinions on this. We kind of know what they'll be. They're not, although they all, yeah, like they all. I mean, ultimately they're like, look, we're not gonna. I just think you're not gonna kill a little girl, so.
Rachel was perfectly happy to kill this little girl.
Yeah, maybe Rachel would.
Rachel was the last one to leave, and when she shows up, everyone's like, so, did you do it or not?
I don't know. I think she'd be like, but you remind me of Jordan. She wouldn't be able to do it. Last minute, she'd call it off.
I think Rachel would kill Jordan. Given the opportunity.
Yeah, maybe. You borrowed my jacket again?
Yeah. Throw out my Chinese food, my Szechuan sauce.
Grizzly bear, bitch.
That's right. So there's this leopard keeps showing up. And I was kind of thinking about this leopard because it's not that necessary. But I think there is something interesting to this leopard because every time it shows up, I don't know if it's like, maybe it's almost like a trolley problem thing or like a taking accountability or control thing. Because we have like this bit where Marco here, like he comes in wanting, like he's totally ready to kill this Yerk, but then he saves Aftran from this leopard in this scene. And earlier Cassie was like just unwilling to kill Aftran, but when the leopard attacks, she's sitting there considering just letting it do it. Like I don't know. There's something here with like there's a difference between just kind of letting it happen and doing it yourself, and maybe that's illustrative of the characters that Cassie doesn't want to be the one to kill, but if that's what's happening, then she lets it happen, or like, but Marco personally wants to take control of it. He's like, if there's going to be killing, I'm taking accountability. I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah, it's an interesting divide because it's, yeah, from the one perspective, it's like an instinct kicks in where you won't just let someone get eaten by a leopard. But for Cassie, it's the opposite, which is like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess it's just the difference between passivity and activity.
Yeah.
Right? It's just what kind
of... I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying with the trolley problem a bit, right?
Yeah,
like, that's the fundamental...
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the leopard adds more danger to the wilderness scenes, but I guess you don't really need that. They could have been just as dangerous without, but I think I don't know, it adds a little something.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have it in here. It's just, I was, going through it and being like, well, thematically, it's just about the two of them talking. So, like, yeah, if I look at it from that perspective, like, what do these scenes add?
It might have been, I guess my punch up would be, it could have just been like a mountain lion or something, and not.
Yeah.
The fact that it escaped from the zoo is a little silly.
Yeah, some guy's private zoo, some weird collector's private zoo.
Something, or just there could be like a cougar out here or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there should be. They're in the California wilderness. There should be.
Yeah, so yeah, that's. I think it is the zoo part that is like just one idea too many.
Yeah, she wanted to put a leopard in a book.
Right. I'm surprised somebody doesn't acquire it.
Yeah, that's true. She could have. Well, I guess she already did a jaguar on a cover. People probably couldn't tell the difference.
Probably not.
Probably not. There's some good quotes in here.
Oh, are there?
There's a lot. I'm just good. Like I said, I just want to read the entire book out loud.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like Aftran says, we're not all like Visser 3. Some of us are just little yerks, unimportant nobodies who are caught in this war. Some of us also want peace. Some of us want to find a better way. But how can we give up everything and leave the universe to them? And she like gestures at Axe. They'll never feel anything but hatred and contempt for us. Cassie did not hate. I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that when she says them, there's 3 sets of parentheses around it in the
book. That's true. QA Applegate strikes again.
But yeah.
I like Jake's bit where he says sometimes you have to choose between smart sane ruthlessness and totally stupid insane hope. You can't just pick one and stick with it either. Each time it comes up, you have to try and make your best decision. Like that. And I think the moment at the end is really, really touching, where Rachel carries Cassie the chrysalis out and is all like, listen, I wanted to kill Aftran, but I am not, like, this was Cassie's like last act, and I'm not going to be the one who undoes it. I thought that scene was nice.
Yeah.
She loves her.
Okay, well, don't be gross about it.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ugh, gross.
All right. But then the twist happens. This is the part on the cover. This is the part in the blurb at the front of the book. Because after a couple days, Cassie emerges from her chrysalis and becomes a butterfly. Tobias like shows up and gets them all at school, and they all ditch class to go see Cassie. It's a nice scene. But upon seeing this, Axe informs them that this is naturally occurring morphing, and it resets the morphing clock, so now Cassie can demorph and be fine. So Cassie gets to go home. Now that she's a butterfly, she gets to demorph. She's saved. She's not trapped as a worm. But yeah, she goes home. She pretends she was lost in the woods the whole time. She gets to be with her family. We find out that Aftran kept her promise, and Karen's free. We find out Karen has apparently asked her billionaire dad to fund the wildlife rehabilitation clinic, so they're not shutting down after all. Yay! And we have an ending with Rachel and Cassie at the mall, right? And Rachel's buying new clothes for Cassie, and for once, Cassie's into it because she's appreciating color and the world around her more. So there's the ending of the book here.
So now this is what you had a problem with as a kid, is that it doesn't make sense that she can demorph?
Yeah, so when I was a very little kid, my problem here was that I was just like, what is that? What is that, like, oh, naturally occurring morphing? That's not what's happening here, though. Like, what? This is not what morphing, like, what is this? This is bullshit.
That's just how morphing works, baby.
Yeah, apparently morphing works exactly the same as metamorphosis. I
do like that he's like, oh yeah, it's just naturally occurring morphing. To Axe, it's like, yeah, oh, that's cool. That thing morphs, Just his perspective on the world.
Yeah, no, it is good. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I've changed my opinion on this multiple times because, like, when I got a little bit older, my problem with it was that it was kind of a bad Deus Ex, where it's like, yeah, you've got Cassie, she makes this great sacrifice, and then you just undo it because we got to get back to our book of the week, and blah, 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 right? Like we're back to normal, fuck it, doesn't mean anything. But I don't think I feel like that now.
Yeah, it didn't, maybe part of the reason it didn't bother me is because it's so telegraphed. I mean, even without the cover, it's like, well, she's in a chrysalis. She's going to turn into a butterfly. It seems unlikely that they're going to have another Animorph trapped as a bug forever, and the Elemist is gonna have to help her too. So maybe it's just like they prepped me for it so much that I was just like, of course that's what's going to happen. Whereas if it was played like a twist, I would have been like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know, but yeah, I am stupid enough and know little enough about actual animals and nature that I'm willing to be like, yeah, it makes sense. It's like a different thing. It can demorph. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Sure, why not? Yeah, I know how they metamorphize is really weird. I don't know a ton about it, but it is weird as fuck, so maybe it is like morphing.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna go English professor college again to talk about this butterfly thing.
Oh,
Animorphs
boy.
101. No, so like now when I view this, now that I'm in my 30s, I
Ooh, you're old.
I know, right? Fucking Christ.
Not me.
No, I
23.
I look at this and it's like, okay, so Cassie's sacrifice is supposed to mirror Aftran's, right? Like she's giving up everything to become a worm, but built into this deal that she made was her exit, right? Like she didn't cheat the deal. She followed it exactly as it was written, and it just turns out that by turning into a caterpillar, her escape was already in that. Like it wasn't a sacrifice at all, actually. It looked like a sacrifice, but it actually wasn't. And if you read that to mirror Aftran, then there's sort of like this message of hope there, I think, for Aftran that I really like. This idea that like it looks like Aftran is giving up everything to not infest humans, but maybe there's something we don't understand yet or haven't seen yet, and maybe there's some ending for Aftran that does end up with her being free and happy, and something good comes out of it. So that's kind of how I view this now, and it's why I like it now as opposed to hating it when I was younger.
It's beautiful. It's really
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. I think you're onto something there.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad that you
I'm validating your reading of the book.
Good. I need validation. I need a lot of validation.
And just like in my real English classes in high school, I will hear what you said and not offer any of my own thoughts to the conversation.
Okay, good. Yeah, sometimes the butterfly is just yellow.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what you were saying before was like, is it kind of a cheat? Doesn't Cassie know enough of, well, she doesn't, why would she assume that she would be allowed to morph back? Like, that's not a,
yeah.
But like, lucky for her that Aftran didn't just pick up a worm, an actual worm. You know?
Right. No, it is lucky for her. It's symbolic. It's metaphor.
Yeah, and it is interesting that it is sort of ambiguous at the end. I assume we don't run into Aftran again in this series, but we don't really.
We might run into Aftran again in this series.
Okay, then. All right.
Yeah, excited now?
Well, we'll see how that goes, but we don't know right now, like what's she and Aftran, from her perspective, she believes that Cassie made this great sacrifice. So her perspective of humanity is forever changed from that. So
yeah, and in a sense, she did, because like Aftran was saying, like I already, even before she trapped herself, I'd seen enough to believe that she would really do it. So that's why she was trying to get her to morph back. So even if she finds out Cassie escaped, it's still like, well, she did it.
Yeah. Well, she's like, it was an Andalite trick. I guess one question is, would this have gone down very differently if it was anyone other than Karen? If it was like some Yeerk who just was a dick? Could Cassie? How good is Cassie? Was Aftran an easy mark, or could she turn someone who was deeper into the cult, so to speak? I don't know.
I do think that one of Cassie's consistent skills throughout the book is her ability to read people. So, like, it could be that it's like she read that Aftran had doubts, and so she could go in there and exploit them. But if it was just some piece of shit Yeerk, probably would have been like, oh, well, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, well, I guess the fact that she's in a little kid's body is pretty much, if we're assuming that Yeerks can kind of, if this Yeerk was in like a CEO body, it'd be like, fuck this Yeerk.
Right. Kill him. Or a cop or something.
Right. So, yeah, like, I mean, again, everything I said at the start of this is a beautiful book. I think I said Andalite Chronicles was the closest thing we've had to being like, oh, this could kind of stand alone as almost like an actual sci-fi book that not that you don't have to know Animorphs, but it's on the level of like, oh, you might pick this up in a library and be like, oh, this is some weird, obscure sci-fi novel that people like. This book is like, I think this reaches the heights of actual literature.
I mean, honestly, I agree with you. Like, I am not going to be coming into most Animorphs books being like, let me interpret the metaphor of what happened. No, they turn into tigers or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, and this book, now you're saying it's controversial for a favorite. Do you think this book is widely liked or disliked? Or...
It's hard for me to say, but I feel like I see varying opinions on this book. I feel like I do not see a universal, like, love for it. But I don't, like, I'm not hugely into the community, so I don't. Write in, if you're a listener, write in and tell us if you like this book, if your friends like this book.
Maybe we'll find out for our season 2 recap.
Yeah, good idea.
But I feel like if you don't like this book, you don't like this series. This just seems like I mean, unless you're really just in it for the action scenes, like this is everything this series has tried to say up to this point, said and expressed better than it has been so far.
Yeah, no, I do think this is just about, if not the pinnacle of, exploring what the hell the fundamental premise of a Yeerk. What is a Yeerk? As far as how does the series explore that idea, right? It's got to be either this book or Visser that's like the most dialed into that.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I don't know how much of I know we're men and we don't show emotion or anything. But and I don't show in real life. I don't show emotion. But if I'm relating to fiction, that's when I show emotion.
Right.
I teared up multiple times reading this book. I don't know. Cry might be too strong a word, but there were tears. It really affected me.
It's a powerful book. Yeah. I don't know that reading ever makes me tear up, but like that kind of, I understand what you mean exactly.
That's the thing. I cry in movies all the time, but I'm like, do I cry reading books that much? The sad truth is I don't read often enough these days to tell you if I do. But reading Animorphs, I have, so
there you go. The best book you've ever read.
I didn't fucking cry reading Great Fucking Gatsby. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, they should teach this shit in high school.
F. Scott Fitzgerald, go fuck yourself.
What a hack.
Get that F out of the way and put a K and an A in there. Now, I want to. Well, I don't know. Do you have? I have one capper, but anything else?
Go for it.
My only final note on this is, I'm only worried about where the series continues from here for Cassie specifically. And I suspect that some or much of this, even by the end of this book, you kind of get the idea that it is going to be swept under the rug a little bit for the sake of, look, every month we have to have them go fight some Hork-Bajir. And yes, I kind of, this feels like a book that should be coming towards the end of a series, and we're not even halfway through. And I just am afraid that this is going to get washed away with everything else that's going to come.
I think that is a reasonable concern. That is one of the problems with the episodic nature of the series, is that sometimes she'll have like a really good idea that should honestly be at the climax, but you know what? It comes out when she has it. So I think that's reasonable to be worried about.
Like, how does she?
Yeah,
Because Cassie, she just the next book, she's like, it's okay to fight him sometimes, you know.
yeah. I mean, like she does end this book by saying, "I guess I'm still an animorph," and being like, "Well, like something about the fact that she found a non-violent solution in one situation has sort of reinvigorated her. It's like I can keep doing this now because it's not all killing." But
Yeah.
yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and as we get to later Cassie books or Cassie's depictions in other books, we can keep that in mind for sure.
Well, they just need the Batman or the Spider-Man logic where they just don't kill. But I guess it's I don't know. I guess it's harder if you're a wolf not
Yeah.
to kill somebody.
Animorphs is not about that. Animorphs is about killing.
Let's quickly cover
Yeah.
what pop culture there
Yeah.
is in this book.
Yeah, not a lot.
The sharing, once again, compared to the Boy or Girl Scouts.
Mhm.
At this sharing meeting, the kids are drinking Cokes. And they're
Mhm.
also having like coleslaw and hot dogs and pie. It sounded fucking good. And beer. I
I
think they
want some.
mentioned beer. Oh, fuck.
Mm.
I got hungry reading that. They mentioned a Levi's jacket. I think maybe Karen is wearing a
Yeah.
Levi's jacket. Hatchet by Gary Paulson, of course. Cassie asks Karen, are you like one of those X-Files people?
Mhm.
They talk about Bambi and the fact that Karen loves Bambi.
Mhm.
The leopard hits Cassie as cool and calm as Jackie Chan.
Do you I do not think of Jackie Chan as being cool and calm.
That seems like more of a Bruce Lee
Yeah.
to me.
Yes.
Yes.
Jackie Chan is the guy who hits you and then goes, ah, and shakes his hand and makes a funny face.
Yeah, I guess they're just trying to say, he's confident in his
Yeah.
martial arts abilities, but maybe Jackie Chan was more of a name the kids would recognize. But I feel like they would say
Hmm.
Bruce Lee if they haven't already. I don't know. Shoulders, I think Marco's gorilla has shoulders that look like they've been built by Mack trucks.
Hmm.
Which and of course Karen thinks he looks like Curious George. There's a reference to the feeling the dentist's drill even after the Novocaine shot. Novocaine,
Sure. I
trademark.
wasn't sure.
I
Okay.
googled it.
Okay.
Trademark drug
Excellent.
name. Yeah.
Very good.
Which, by the way, side effects of Aftran may include headaches, nausea, and dizziness. Do not take Aftran if your doctor. Yeah, just sounds like okay. The Unibank, that's a real bank, I guess.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Is it?
I googled it. It's a bank. Unibank
Damn.
is a. Now I don't know if maybe it became a bank after this book or something.
Hmm.
But if you Google it, there is a unibank.com. It's in Massachusetts specifically. So probably not the same thing. But I don't know. I don't know if this is intentional. Maybe Seropedia has an answer for us on that one. But moving on. As an osprey, Cassie scans the horizon's Dairy Queens, among other things.
Hmm.
I really like this one. Karen or Aftran is laughing a bunch, and Jake says, "What are you, the Joker?"
Or actually, I should point out because I noticed this too. Jake doesn't say it; he thinks that to himself, and I get the feeling Jake is sick of people not thinking his jokes are funny. I'm not even going to try anymore. They won't laugh anyway.
What is this, Vietnam? Yeah, he's keeping it to himself. You know what, Jake? I liked it. Rachel moves her Miata-sized head as an elephant. Marco had to put on one of those Nicoderm patches as his. What is that? That's his excuse to get out of school.
Yeah, when they're all like, I gotta go, I gotta use the bathroom, I gotta puke, whatever. And Marco's like, I'm trying to quit smoking, don't stop me.
And now, did you have the Frug down here?
I do have the Frug or the Twist or something down here. I don't know what the Frug is.
The Frug is apparently a dance craze from the mid 1960s. And it's got a Wikipedia entry. It's capitalized. It's the Frug.
Sure.
It's
not as well known as the Twist, at least to me.
No, but it's up there maybe with the monkey, the swim, the Watusi, and the mashed potato. Sometimes referred to as the Surf, Big B, and the Thunderbird.
Sure.
Isn't it funny that, like, this is just flossing is going to be this, you know?
I cannot wait.
It probably already is.
Old lame dance like the floss.
Like, I'm looking at this, like they did the Frug on the Andy Griffith Show, and like that, which is basically the equivalent of them flossing on Parks and Recreation or something. Like that's
Sonic flossing in the movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just like the jitterbug.
That's good. I like that.
All right. Anyway, if this is our longest episode, at least it's earned for this book.
Good.
I wanted to rush us, but I was like, look, this book, it's fine. We can talk about it at length. It's fine. And if we had to spend more time talking about my phobia of plant meat, that's also fine. If you have opinions and thoughts listening to this on The Departure, email us at the Yerkyboys@gmail.com. And I guess we're still on X right now at the Yerky Boys, whatever. And you can follow me. Just go to my website, jonathanestis.com.
Yep, I am also still on X at DogTimesMcGee, though I don't think I have logged on in the past week. Maybe I have. I don't know. Fuck Elon. Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about Book 20, The Discovery, in which Marco turns into a cobra on the Yerky Boys.